All right, my friends, I just posted a pretty long blog post. Says, how much income do you need in retirement? And I just took apart the silliness that is the National Institute for Retirement Security, NIRS. This is just one big, literally, it's a bunch of lobbyists sucking on the government teat, and their headquarters is in literally on K Street, a block away from the White House. The whole thing is so fraudulent, man. And it's left and I hate to say even left and right, as if that's any divisor anymore. There's no left or right in DC. It's all DC. Now they happen to be on the left because they're all big government proponents. But let's not pretend that DC is full of right-wingers and left-wingers. It's all full of corporatists, lobbyists, and internationalist globalists. I mean, for those of you on the left, they're not your type either. These guys all want money. They all want to live. For those of you on the right, they're certainly not for small government. And the irony of it all is if you look at Boris Johnson, who just got, smoked the left in the UK, which is great, which is wonderful. But let's not mince words. He is not a Thatcherite. Trump is not a Reaganite in regard of small government. Boris Johnson proposed it. Significant increases in spending in the UK. Significant on the NHS. Significant carbon reduction to 2050 to go carbon neutral. I mean, all these things are silly. It's probably actually not a bad campaign to say we're going to do this and know full well it's never going to damn well get done. It's actually probably not a bad thing to do. Now, the more I think about it, if I'm on the right, I know it's so freaking stupid to be in favor of carbon neutralness because it will never happen. I could campaign on it and say, yeah, because everyone has bought it hook, line, and sinker. The propaganda machine is huge. And you say, yep, I've done it, and then don't do anything about it. It's actually probably a pretty good strategy. I wish I had some way they could wink to us. The old dog whistle that Trump supposedly has to us right-wing, whatever the hell they nationalist types, he dog whistles. That was supposed to, okay, Trump, we'll get in line now with your dog whistle. I wish there was some kind of wink, nod that we could know that a right-wing guy is going to go along with a stupid carbon tax thing and go carbon neutral, to know that he's just saying that because it's just a way to get people like, oh yeah, because in left-wing politics, it matters not what you do, it matters what you say. I mean, Greta is sitting on these freaking carbon dioxide spewing machines going all over the world, and yet somehow she's against fossil fuels. I mean, look, the list is... I would die for lack of oxygen trying to cite the list of liberal hypocrisy when it comes to energy or environmental consciousness. Jane Fonda, let's ban fossil fuels as she goes to D.C. in an airplane in which to protest. So it's actually not a bad strategy. I hate to say, I think you have to say that in this day and age. Frankly, I would not say that I'm for carbon neutral if I was running, because it's silly, it's absurd. It's literally ignorant and it's anti-science, without question. But be it as it may, Boris Johnson did, and now we have a new group of conservatives supposedly sprouting out of nowhere called Young Conservatives for Carbon Dividend or something like that. And basically what they're saying is they're modeling on Alaska. This is what, they didn't say this, but you can put two and two together. Alaska pays a dividend to its residents, and for you who live in Alaska, you can speak to this certainly better than I can, of a couple $1,000 a year for the tax on oil or whatever it is. And so the understanding would be, we could do the same. We could tax carbon and send the money back to the citizens as a carbon dividend. We should all prosper with carbon. It would be so great. Not recognizing how much your electricity bill and energy bill usage would go up. Not recognizing how many middle and lower income people would be priced out of the ability to fly airplanes or get on a cruise ship, which is what most lower and middle class Americans do for their vacations. But hey, it makes the people in DC feel good. And then idiots like Trent Lott and all these other politicians, it doesn't matter, the Legion, right, left, everywhere, they all fall suit because they love the idea of DC getting more money via tax and having idiots like Trent Lott be able to dictate who gets the proceeds. They love it. They love it because they always skim a little bit off the top. Anyway, so Boris Johnson going back, said we are going to expand the NHS, which is falling apart at the seams. We all know this. It's corrupt as all can be. People are dying. Just the whole thing is corrupt. We know this. He wants to more green stuff. There's something else he wanted to do. I forgot what it was. But anyway, he was not running as a right winger by any stretch. And this is where I think it gets interesting. See, for me, I don't consider myself a right winger at all. I'm actually anti-left. I despise the left. Now, some people say, how can you despise the left and like Social Security? Well, because I recognize it for what it is. Social Security has become the saving grace for Americans today in retirement. That's just a fact. Now, we can argue all day long if Social Security should exist or not. I'm not going to waste my time. It just does. So while I'm anti-left, I am in favor of Social Security because I know the reality is Social Security is here. It's not going anywhere, and it needs to be strengthened. And I would have no qualm even expanding it a little bit should we need to by lowering the bend points for the top income earners and raising the bend points for the middle income earners. Now, many people have no clue what that means. The same people, the freaking idiots who say, let's just raise the tax on Social Security. You get rid of the cap. They got no clue how Social Security works. It just sounds good. What they should be saying, if they were smart, which they're not, is that they should be saying lower the bend point for the Mitt Romneys of the world. So once they break the 5583 on the third bend point, they don't get 15% of that. They get 10% of that or something like that. Raise the second bend point from which it is in this year, 2019, it's 926, to 5583. Right now, the second bend point is 32. Raise that to 45. And I literally haven't crunched the numbers on this. I'm just using that for an example. That's a wonderful way to quote unquote tax the rich, reduce the rich's benefits, and yet have the middle class and lower income earners get a pretty significant boost in their Social Security. Maybe when I get back, I'll crunch those numbers. I think it'll be interesting to do. Very easy to do. No one's taxes get raised. No one even know how that works because no one knows what bend points are. And again, the idiots who say, we got to raise the cap on the Social Security tax. It's a non-starter. Look, if you want to do it, I don't care. Well, I do care that you raise the tax because that would tax me more. And I don't want to pay more tax. Hell, I'm already paying enough as it is. But, you take some guy who's making $1 million. Yeah, raise, some freaking hedge fund manager who isn't worth his, the paper he's writing on, but because he shuffles papers from point A to point B, he gets paid billions. The Tom Stars of the world, man, I got no qualm with that. I just don't care. Yes, I am not fundamentally a true a guy who believes in fundamental, you should not tax anybody, it's a theft of property. Look, man, all that stuff in the libertarian circles is all good in theory. In reality, it doesn't work. And what I mean by that, because people still have souls which says, I am without, I need something else to protect me and help me. Thus, I'm going to go to Big Daddy government. You can sit here all day long, my libertarian brothers and sisters. It should be different. Human nature is what it is. So let's work within the reality, the confines of the reality that we have, which is Social Security, Medicare, which is recognizing the insanity of carbon tax, recognizing the insanity of wanting to corrupt CO2 or think of CO2 some kind of corrupt. Let's deal with the real world, shall we? And unfortunately, the real world sometimes means you got to give an inch to take a foot. And Boris Johnson, I think, did that, which I got no qualm with. I wish the reality would be, I wish that we'd have a referendum, just do it. Do people want NHS once and for all, done? And if they say yes, which I imagine they would, then you tax people to pay for it. That's what the people want. I don't like it, but be it as it may, that's the reality. Anyway, so I got on the blog post and I took apart Aon Hewitt, Aon Corporation, National Institute for Retirement Security, who say you need 85% of your retirement income in order to maintain your level of lifestyle in retirement. And that, dude, that's just freaking what we would say in England, bollocks. I'm English now because I'm so happy with the results. I lost a number of subscribers because of my email thing. Not a huge amount, probably less than 1%, but my subscriber base is getting pretty big on my email thing. And I lost, about 1,700 now. I lost about 10. It was funny, they all came in. Inappropriate content. And also that means just be advised, as we go into 2020, I will probably have more political stuff to talk about. Now, look, man, it's kind of like I'm talking about here. I'm not saying, I think if you have to know where I stand in this, right? With who my preference is for president. But I will talk about that because it does affect retirement planning. It does affect financial planning for sure. Estate planning, estate taxes, income taxes are political inherently. So not to talk about this stuff is, and freedom is inherently a political thing, unfortunately. Not to talk about it, well, I'm going to, and I will continue to do so, probably a little bit more as we go forward, because it's going to be a pretty interesting year, I really believe. It'll be just like the UK was, and I think ultimately the same election results are going to happen. Unless the Democrats pull their heads out of their butts and they recognize that there's a huge swath of Americans who don't like what they're doing. Forget the impeachment stuff. Literally no one cares about that. The thing they don't like what they're doing is all this new languaging. They're like, I don't even know how to speak the language. And if I don't speak it correct, I can lose my job. Goldman Sachs, what the hell is that? So they don't want anything to do with that stuff. And so they're going to vote for the people who are common sense. And a lot of those people who are going to vote like that, just like what we had in the UK, I'm picking up some dog poop, are naturally allies to the left. Labor unions, workers, and things of that nature. Blue collar, hold on just a second. But they're sitting there thinking, I don't fit in with these. I don't even know who these people are who are trying to represent me. They don't even speak anything near my language. They're a middle urban elite, and they might be big on Twitter, but I don't even do Twitter. But I don't do Twitter either. And so they're sitting there thinking, who are these people? These people are nuts. And so now what happens is that we're going to have to get, like this where Trump comes in. He's going to say, look, I speak your language. Now, I don't. It's a triangulation from the right. It's a freaking wonderful thing to behold, as much as I wish it wouldn't have to be true. But he says, I'm going to get those working people, be it black, white, or Spanish, or Asian, or Indian, doesn't matter, black, white, or brown. As Suicidal Tendency said, black, white, or brown, it's all the same to me, when they had that song, Join the Army. And that came from their second album. So their huge first album with that song institutionalized. And then they came with this more of a crossover album in like 85, 86. And they had joined the Army. They actually had some rap on there. And I remember people were mad. Suicidal sold out. There's another band, a punk band. I think they're from Texas, DRI, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles. And they had an album, the Dirty Rotten LP, which I used to have on 12-inch, which I'm sure is worth a decent amount right now. Anyway, they came out with a crossover album, and it went more metalish again in the mid-'80s. Agnostic Front, same thing, and people were mad. Fast forward 5 years, and all those hardcore / punkish hardcore bands had a metal sound to them. It was just kind of funny how that changed. All right, so anyway, back to the issue at hand. Trumpster is going to triangulate, say, look, we're going to get the blue collars, black, white, and brown. Obviously we're not going to get the urban elites. We get that. But we're going to get the blue collars, and then we're going to turn around and still retain our right, because the right knows if we don't win, the left and all its shenanigans and insanity will take over, and then it's bad news. And so the people on the right, such as myself, say, and again, I'm on the Libertarian right, because I think you should legalize everything. You want to smoke dope? Don't care. I used to be adamant against gay marriage. Now I literally don't care. In fact, if anything, I think gay marriage actually helps solidify the family, and I think as a good unit, a good thing. A family unit is a good thing for the country. So I was wrong on that. I've been a proponent of legalization for a long time. A proponent of unlimited access to firearms for my entirety of my life, for sure. Private property rights. Who else on the left that I'd fall? I don't believe in mandatory vaccines. I'm not sure if that's on the left anymore. I'm not sure if that's on the right. I believe also never followed the idea that the government should be involved in making you ban your ability to smoke a cigarette, sell a cigarette like Eric Garner to a guy who's freely wanting to buy prostitution. Don't care, legalize it. There are some Republicans coming now against pornography. Don't believe in that. People have a right to do whatever they want to do. but it hurts other people. Yeah, well, if we start going down this thing where it hurts other people, man, you won't be able to do anything, that's for sure. So at the end of the day, I believe freedom, I believe in private property, and your first property that you have privacy over is your body. If you have no ability to control your own body, your own existence, you have no private property. So it starts with you. And if you want to put dope in your freaking veins, I don't want you to do it. I hope you don't. And I pray for you when you get addicted, but you have absolutely the right to do that. You don't have the right to steal from me with taxpayer dollars. That's the thing. You can't say, I'm going to do this to myself, and then turn around and say, Josh, you got to pay for me to do this because I did this to myself. No, and I also don't believe in, and I'm trying to think what else on the left. I am pretty actually conscious of we want soil, all right? So I'm not quite as convinced as GMOs. I know they work to grow food. I'm not sure what they do to the soil, so I do believe in some of that. I think we need tons. I'm hugely green. Well, that's why I love CO2. There's a correlation between the CO2 parts per million, which is at 400, over 400 now, and the fact that the world is getting greener. I think to deny that is to deny actually science and to deny reality, all right? And I think CO2, which is literally food for trees and green plants, which gives us gives us the oxygen we need. Ooh, yucky. I think that's actually a good thing. So I'm all about being green for sure, but I'm all about being green, and I'm also keeping warm in the wintertime, being from Maine. And the best way to do that is with fossil fuels. I'm not about renewable energy to the extent that the UK is using it, where they're cutting down virgin forests in North Carolina and Alabama, shipping that byproduct to with boats via fossil fuels to England so they can say, look at us, we have biomass, and that's nuts. So anyway, I'm anti-left because I think the left is dastardly. I think they're dangerous, and that doesn't mean that everybody on the left is. But if you look at their politics, the way they're riding, their Antifa, the way they're riding the street against Boris Johnson, the way they're riding the street against Trump, the way they manhandle and destroy people for their political, these are brown shirts, man, brown shirts. It's just they're doing that in England. They did that here. I'll never forget, supposedly the left is for women's rights. There's a Trump rally, this before he even became president, in California, and some woman was like beaten, a woman. Then you have up in Canada, some old lady is walking across the street to hear some guy speak, and these freaking Antifa fools it was like screaming bloody murder at him. It just sounds like you can't have these people anywhere near power. You can't. And thus, until the left can police up their insanity, and look, I was raised on the left. I know what these guys are like. My dad had a printing press in our basement, and trust me, he was printing rabble-rousing stuff from the far left. Again, I don't want to hear anything about the left. I know it. Gus Hall and Angela Davis. You might not know who those people are. Trust me, I do. And if you don't, you should look them up. We had buttons of Gus Hall and Angela Davis. I bet you did not, my leftist friends out there right now. I know what it's like, and it's not a pretty place to be. Certainly not one of happiness. It's like the guy from Forrest Gump. Sorry, Jenny, but those damn that damn Johnson. Remember that dude from Forrest Gump beat up Jenny? He's like, I'm sorry, Jenny, but that damn Johnson. And I think Forrest took it, worked him, didn't he? It was awesome. All right, well, that's all I got to say about that as a Forrest. That's all I want to say about that, to quote from Forrest Gump. Anyway, so just remember, read that blog post. I'll put a link in the show notes down below, and I might even do a video specifically on that. Just remember, all the scaremongers, all of them are lobbyists trying to scare you into demanding the government do more for you so you can retire. And the more for government would be, of course, the fun groups like these guys. Let's not pretend anymore. These guys are out for your money. And the way they get your money via taxes is scaring you to scare politicians. And it worked on healthcare. Literally, it worked on they're close to having to work on climate change. Sad. Healthcare worked like a charm, man. Lowell Weicker out of Connecticut led to Bill Clinton, led to Obamacare, and worked like a charm to scare people that healthcare, you're just one broken ankle from losing everything to a healthcare emergency. And we've changed accordingly because the media was able to permeate the scaremongering there. Climate change. The idea again that look, if it worked, if climate change had a better propaganda machine. I mean, they have a great propaganda machine, but it's not great in terms of doing something, because it's ignorant. It's just, look, man, it's just rich kids from the cities. They have no clue how things work. But if they were smart, they'd recognize if they wanted to change things for a quote unquote to be more green, they wouldn't be doing stuff like this Green New Deal. They'd be doing something differently with a different propaganda thing. Like, instead of this, we should do that. They're too, they just haven't faced any opposition, so they literally don't hear what the other side is, i.e. they don't hear reality. So we know it worked on healthcare. It's kind of working on climate change, kind of. And it's definitely working on retirement, but I think just, well, me, because this is where I'm mostly involved in, and maybe it's just because I have a chance to voice my opinion. I think it's not working as well in retirement. Let's just put it that way. I think. I know they do studies where most people are concerned, and that's all you hear, but I don't know, man. I think that I don't know, maybe it's just my optimistic take. I think that the fearmongers haven't been able to adjust thought process that much where we have any major thing coming down the pike that could really, really hurt you from a freedom perspective in your retirement. I don't think so, and we shall see. So, they worked on healthcare. Boris Johnson, we can see that right there. It's kind of working on climate change. Boris Johnson, we can see that right there, but I don't think he's going to do anything because he knows it's silly. And I'm not quite sure it's worked all that well yet on retirement, but we shall see. Stay tuned, and I will keep you informed. All right, thanks.